What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we are checking out the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8. Now, if you've been following the world of foldables, or just the general tech rumor mill, you know this has basically been the worst kept secret. We knew this wide or passport-style form factor was coming to an all-new Fold. This is now a third option within Samsung's folding phone lineup, and a slight unexpected pivot in the naming scheme, which adds a little confusion, but I'll square that up for you here too. Frankly, this is the first new form factor for a smartphone in quite some time, at least since the first folding and flipping phones hit the market, and assuming we're counting the ones you can actually still buy. But beyond its quirky new design, this all-new Fold 8 has some other hardware improvements, spec bumps, and software changes that might just entice not just former Fold owners, but maybe brand new Fold converts to make the jump. There's obviously a ton to talk about here, so I won't waste any more time. Let's first just quickly unbox the thing, and then I'll tell you everything you need to know about this new Z Fold 8. Assuming I can actually get these stickers off, when you finally slide off the lid, you'll first be greeted by the phone itself, unfolded and nicely protected. Beyond the phone, the rest of your accessories are stuck inside the lid of the box here. Ripping this open, you should find a SIM ejector tool, a small packet of setup instructions and other information, and then your standard issue USB-C cable for charging. For as special as this phone is, there's nothing else included in the box. So jumping back to the phone, let's talk price and where this Fold lands in Samsung's foldable lineup now. This new Z Fold 8 is technically the middle option. Samsung also just announced the new Z Flip 8 as the smaller, entry-level, more traditional sized device, and then flanking it on the upper end is the all-new Z Fold 8 Ultra, which is technically the successor to last year's Z Fold 7 with that same form factor and design, and an even bigger leap in specs and features, even though this phone is now called the regular Z Fold 8. The cheapest of the trio starts at $1,199. This one, the new Z Fold 8, is $1,899 for the 256GB model and can be spec'd up to 512 gigs or 1TB if you want. And then the Z Fold 8 Ultra on the high end crosses that $2,000 mark for its base configuration. As Samsung often does, all the new flips and folds are available for pre-order right now. Shout out to Samsung for getting me mine a bit early. And you can take advantage of up to $1,200 in trade-in credit or $200 of Samsung store credit and $100 off with a special PayPal discount code. If you shop on Amazon instead, that offer there is a free $350 gift card if you pre-order, along with similar trade-in perks and accessory deals. Basically, you should be able to save a few $100s or more before this phone officially goes on sale on August 7th if you're seriously considering it. And I'll leave links to those different offers down below in the video description if you want to check them out. So here is the new Z Fold 8 itself, and right off the bat, I want to just say that yes, this new, shorter, slightly wider form factor really is significant enough for you to notice, both when you hold the phone and when you're browsing content. The outer display, or cover screen, is this all-new 5.5-inch 10:16 aspect ratio deal with some really squared-off corners, and I think it's fair to say that it looks almost like an old-school BlackBerry without the physical keyboard. It's not so wide that it's uncomfortable to hold. Actually, it balances really nicely since it's no longer so top-heavy and elongated, but it's just wide enough where one-handed use with your thumb might be kind of challenging. Arguably, though, when we put it side by side with the S26 Ultra, for example, you can see that this new wide fold isn't a great deal wider, just a few millimeters, and like I said, a whole heck of a lot shorter, which is kind of nice. The difference is more stark when you look at it next to the new Z Fold 8 Ultra, what was the original traditional folding form factor, where that phone is way taller with a skinnier cover display. Given all the different designs now, I think it's just a matter of personal preference, and there are definitely advantages and disadvantages in every direction. When you unfold the Z Fold 8, you of course get that second, even larger folding inner display. This one is 7.6 inches. at a 4:3 or 3:4 aspect ratio depending on the orientation. You get a pretty good screen-to-body ratio here with relatively thin, even bezels that are just slightly raised still to protect the screen, but more importantly, Samsung also worked on that crease. This folding display is still a plastic construction, but Samsung has combined it with what they are now calling flex titanium technology. There's a titanium alloy film, a thin layer that supports the OLED panel underneath and makes it more durable, and then there's an additional titanium plate within that gives the whole display a flatter, more uniform surface, a less obvious crease, and a thinner air pocket for a smoother, more uniform look. To me, the difference is pretty apparent. There's a lot less of a dip or bend, but I am curious to see how this holds up in the long run after maybe a few thousand more folds. As for the rest of the phone, it's still made from a combination of glass and aluminum. Gorilla Glass Victus Ceramic 3 for the front, Victus 2 on the back, advanced armor aluminum for the frame and edges and housing. It's IP48 dust and water resistant. As far as the colors, this is lavender purple, but you can also opt for graphite or cream or an online exclusive pistachio. On the, I guess, left side of the phone, that's the hinge adorned with the Samsung logo. On the right, you have the volume buttons and the power button, which also doubles as your fingerprint sensor. This is perfectly fast and functions just fine, and you'll pair it with Face Unlock for both the outer display selfie camera and the inner display selfie camera for multiple ways to quickly get into the phone. Up top, there are a few mystery holes, one of 2 loudspeaker cutouts, and the physical SIM card tray. And at the bottom, the secondary loudspeaker and the USB-C port for charging. There's 2 rear cameras around back, along with 2 selfie cameras you saw a moment ago, and this phone does support both the physical SIM card and eSIM, no micro SD card support. In configuration options, you saw already 256 or 512 gigs or 1 terabyte, with 12 gigs of RAM for the first 2 and 16 gigs of RAM for the 1 terabyte model. So jumping back to the displays here, I want to touch on the specs, the viewing experience, and how different content actually looks in the different orientations. The 5.5-inch outer display is a 1248 by 1972 resolution LTPO Dynamic AMOLED 2X panel. It's super sharp at 428 pixels per inch, it's super smooth with a refresh rate up to 120 Hz, and it's bright, though somehow not quite as bright as that inner display. More on that in a moment, but you can kind of see here how everything might look on this uniquely shaped display. Relatively normal. Frankly, you can watch videos, scroll social media, or do anything else, and the slightly altered aspect ratio really doesn't impact anything on screen. In fact, some content and some apps arguably look a little better and are easier to interact with on a shorter and slightly wider screen. Typing is really the main thing that feels different. If one-handed or one-thumb typing is already challenging, those extra millimeters will definitely contribute to a two-handed typing experience now. But again, being slightly wider and a lot shorter, it kind of makes the whole thing a little more comfortable. Of course, when you need even more screen, unfolding it presents you with that 7.6-inch LTPO Dynamic AMOLED 2X panel, an 1828 by 2448 resolution display, about 403 pixels per inch, also supporting up to 120 Hz, and what Samsung is calling the brightest smartphone display ever. Certainly their brightest, at up to 3000 nits of peak brightness. Plus, yet another improvement, a new anti-glare coating for this inner display, which again, I noticed almost immediately. And combined with the increased brightness and the less noticeable crease, this inner display is even more impressive than ever. Whether you use this inner display in landscape or portrait, you're obviously shown a lot more on screen. You'll get a selection of apps on the bottom. Some apps will support a wide format with more content. You can of course run multiple apps side by side, and you have the ability to stretch and fill the screen to utilize every inch or show content in its standard format. Now, arguably, 4:3 or 3:4 isn't exactly the standard nowadays for videos or movies, so you'll have to decide if you like watching content cropped in or with black borders. But for scrolling and browsing and reading, like online articles or ebooks especially, and for working, productivity with multiple apps or even in one app, the extra large inner display unlocks a whole new world. To me, it's really that outer cover screen that feels the most different with this phone. The unfolded inner display is only slightly different versus the previous folds, and I think when it comes to the size, the screen, the form factor, that's where the decision is made in choosing this versus something else. Something sort of unique to these folding phones is the speaker setup. You saw earlier that there are two large equal-sized speaker cutouts on the top and bottom of the phone, and when folded, this is a pretty good setup, but when unfolded, the placement is, well, pretty one-sided. I don't know that there was any other way to do these speakers, so it is what it is, and they sound really good. Just keep an eye on where your hand is holding this phone, because you might inadvertently cover a speaker if you forget which side or which edge they're on. When it comes to the internal specs and performance, this is actually pretty straightforward. Samsung just stuck the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 in here, the same chip that's been in the S series phones and that's in the other Fold and Flip as well. Paired with 12 or 16 gigs of RAM for the 1TB model, like I said, you are getting flagship specs. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And for a phone like this, I don't think it should get anything less. The Fold8 ships with Android 17 and One UI 9, which includes a sprinkling of some new One UI and Fold-specific software enhancements and AI add-ons that Samsung demoed during their keynote. But no crazy major changes, really. Much of the software buzz is still reserved for the S series that Samsung launches at the start of the year. More than anything, it's just nice to see that Samsung did give this phone everything they got when it comes to performance and power. Even though it's not technically an Ultra, and there is a separate Ultra this year, and not technically a flagship or even the highest end Fold, you still have zero compromises or sacrifices when it comes to the internal components and performance. And that's pretty important, since this foldable is probably aimed at folks who do a lot with their phones anyway. So the best specs are an absolute must. Also powering this phone is a pretty good sized 4800 mAh battery, which is like 10% bigger than last year's Fold 7, but a smidge smaller still than the battery crammed inside the Fold 8 Ultra. Samsung also upped the charging abilities across the board. You can juice up wired at up to 48 watts now, or 20 watts wirelessly. There's still 4.5 watt reverse charging power share, so plenty of ways to get back to 100% quickly or charge your earbuds on the go. Just make sure, as always, that you have the right charging accessories that support those faster charging speeds. Finally, when it comes to this phone's array of cameras, you've got technically two lenses around back and two lenses on the fronts. The rear lens setup consists of two 50 megapixel shooters, a 50 megapixel f1.8 aperture main lens and a 50 megapixel f1.9 aperture 120 degree ultra wide. This is kind of a unique camera setup, both in the individual lenses and the setup as a whole, and there's not really, to my knowledge at least, another current or previous Samsung phone that had this combination. The selfie cameras are each 10 megapixel shooters with the same f2.2 apertures, but slightly different lenses. The inside selfie camera, I think, is a little wider. And for the camera's capabilities, you get some pro-level options, like up to 8K video recording, something normally reserved for a flagship or an ultra phone, and fun things like using the cover screen as a viewfinder for the better rear cameras. You can vlog yourself in higher quality and still see yourself too. But with no telephoto lens, just 10 times digital zoom, and your usual selection of other shooting modes and features, which you can see here, this isn't an over-the-top camera setup, more so a standard-ish flagship camera combination, or maybe a half step below that. There are more lenses and better lenses with additional capabilities on the Fold 8 Ultra now, kind of what that name implies, but after snapping a few sample pictures with this phone already, I can honestly say that the cameras are still an asset, not a net negative or a detriment by any means. And you'll still get awesome flagship level pictures and videos from this phone, whose camera setup probably isn't the priority as much as the screens or the form factor or even the internal specs might be by comparison. With this all-new Z Fold 8, I really have to commend Samsung for trying something new. I know the foldable form factor has been around for, well, 8 generations, give or take, and we've seen improvements to the durability and materials, the specs, and the additional features, but we haven't really seen a new design until now. And not only a new design to the foldable, but a new design to the smartphone screen, as it were. The outer display display, which is the first point of interaction with this phone. I think from a point of pocketability and potential comfort, this shorter and slightly wider setup is enticing. I don't necessarily think it's a drastic difference or maybe better way of viewing content like Samsung is suggesting with its various aspect ratios, but at the end of the day, we've all been asking, begging even, for something new or different in the world of smartphones. And whether you are a folding phone fan or a Samsung user or an outright hater of all of this stuff, you have to admit that not only is this sort of new, but it's probably also going to set the trend moving forward of passport-style, short and wide, slightly different looking foldables from a few different companies. But what do you guys think of this all-new Galaxy Z Fold 8? Is it going to be your new folding phone? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.